What the fuck? Oh, he already predicted this and wrote this? Dude, I still have goosebumps right now. This is crazy. Dude, this is so OP. But he's so optimistic and he's like, this is for the humans. Don't you dare lump me with your meaningless shigamis. I have a purpose. I'm driven. I'm a messiah. This is for humans. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a psychotherapist and educator. In today's video, episode 4, Pursuit, Light is no longer simply testing the Death Note, he's testing human behavior, systems, and the very limits of control. The episode underscores a collision between two minds shaped by radically different worldviews. Light's, or Kira's utilitarian sense of justice and grandiose moral perspective, laced with dominance of power, and L's methodical pursuit of truth driven by control and order, which underlies his deontological ethics. Their emerging cat and mouse dynamic is not just about crime, it's about identity, ethics, and the very psychology of power. Hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying my Death Note series so far, and sit back and enjoy today's video. This video is sponsored by Assassination Zero, our new sponsor tier. Shout out to the best patron family. Appreciate you very much. And let's tune in. Other Shigamis lose by dropping it intentionally. Oh, he looks like Overlord, one of my favorite enemies. That's an interesting dialogue between other gods of death. They were saying that, I don't know why he carries 2 death notes. We have no idea what drives him. So I guess even among Shigamis, there's different personality traits, which is pretty funny. And it to me seems like not every Shigamis is like Ryuk, suffered from this void behind absolute power, a constant theme I've alluded throughout since I started this series. And we know as viewers through this 4D dimension break, we know that because of boredom and psychopathic voyeurism without the sexual components drives Ryuk. But it's interesting to see other Shigamis are like, I have no idea what drives Ryuk to do what he does. It sounds like Ryuk is more bored by Shigami realm and who he is versus other gods of death aren't doing what he's doing because they're like, there's no way he dropped it because if he does that, he's trapped and he has to follow the person around because it looks like they're bound by this invisible Shigami agreement. And obviously other Shigamis don't want to be bound in the human realm, being stuck to a human until the human dies. But Ryuk did exactly just that. So interesting to glimpse into the difference and different psychological perspective even among Shigamis. Very cool. This is their agreement. Obviously, I predicted it in the end, last episode. Flashback. And based on how narcissistic and grandiose and psychopathic Light Yagami has turned, I'm pretty sure and I predict that he will say yes to that deal because he wants to get rid of L. End of flashback. Was that wrong? Is that a yes or no? Out of question as in duh or heck no. I'm sure the show will answer this momentarily. His god complex is out of control. He's gonna turn down the offer. Interesting. I stand corrected. He's getting mad. Yeah, Light is definitely not an ass kisser. Because he's very grandiose, very narcissistic. Narcissists do not kiss other people's ass. Especially if you're self-deemed as a savior. Would you kiss someone's ass, even if it's Shigami? Answer is no.
残念だ。目でなく翼だったら本気で取引を考えたかもしれない。翼を
So
持
he
っ
could
て
fly?
空を自由に飛ぶなんて神らしいじゃないか。人類が古代からずっと抱いてきた
That's
夢
true.
でもあるしね。
That's true. I prefer to teleport though versus flying
それだけで警察に捕まりそうだが。
今のは冗談だリュウク。
and be dissected as aliens.
そうやって目だの翼だの取引していくうちにいつの間にか本当の死神にされてしまう。そういう話も面白いじゃないか。
安心しろ、お前はもう立派な死神だ。
A fine, oh, high praise.
死神界は腐ってるからな。ただ死にたくないという理由だけで人の寿命をいただき漠然と生きている奴らばっかりだ。
They're also corrupted. Interesting.
それはもう誰にもわからない。
Interesting.
多分存在してる意味なんてないんだろう。
Who's their boss?
そんな死神よりライト、お前の方がよっぽど死神らしい。
Quick pause. So this is a callback to episode 1 with that split parallel scene of Light and Yoke both saying at the same time, ugh, this world is so rotten. I thought previously that Yoke was referring to the human realm. But now it seems like 4 episodes later, Yoke was actually referring to the Shigami realm, that it was rotten. It's corrupted, they have become meaningless, and they solely take the lives of humans to extend their lives. And it seems like he's very off-put and repulsed by this purposelessness, identity of other Shigamis. That's why he's giving Light a high praise. Because whether or not, according to Yoke, Light's moral perspective is of course distorted, it's delusional, very grandiose per our perspective, but to him, Light seems more purpose-driven, regardless of how accurate or distorted the purpose is. But nonetheless, Light is driven by a purpose, by his sense of Messiah complex or Savior complex, whereas his other peers and colleagues, air quotes, are meaninglessly roaming, just existing. And now I knew the show will reveal the answer of why Yoke is different from his other peers, other Shigamis, and why other Shigamis cannot understand or fathom the psychology and the perspective of Yoke. So it's very interesting. So this is the parallel between Yoke being burnt out and disengaged from his realm, and Light being burnt out and jaded and disengaged from his realm. No wonder they met, even though it was a chance encounter, but still, I see some strings of fate in play. But who's the boss of the Shigami realm? They have a boss, right?
僕は人間として人間のためにデスノートを使っている。
He's with his very, very grandiose moral perspective.
まあしかし、
It's for the humans. It's for the society. I'm a savior.
リュウクのような死神が100年、いや、1000年に一度でも降りてきただけで人間界は大きく変わるんだ。恐ろしく意味ある存在だよ。死神界は。
Fearfully meaningful. I've never heard those two words being used together.
リュウクが人間界に来たことを生かして変えてみたらどうだ？
Wow, interesting.
お前って本当はものすごくプラス思考な人間なのかもしれないな。
I guess.
当たり前。
Is that optimism in a way?
いや、デスノートを使って自ら世界を良くしようなんて思わないよ。
Another quick pause. So I've given my diagnosis for Light in the previous episode, so I won't go into that. So if you haven't seen them, it's in the link below in my Death Note playlist. What I do want to say is, starting from this episode, I will be referring Light's antisocial traits no longer as sociopathic, but rather psychopathic, psychopathy. So we see how casual and air quote positive Light is, even though we're talking about psychopathic behaviors of committing mass serial killing of, who knows, hundreds of people. What it was like, 23 people a day, every hour, for how long? That is insane. He probably would be on the top most committed serial murder list in the wanted list on FBI, but he's so optimistic and he's like, this is for the humans. Don't you dare lump me with your meaningless shigamis. I have a purpose. I'm driven. I'm a messiah. This is for humans. But he goes even a level further. He's trying to coach and instill his grandiose perspective and air quote positive thinking onto Yoke, a Shigami himself. Hey, why don't you carry what you learn from me in this world back to your world? You can be a trailblazer. You can be a pioneer of change among Shigamis. And I guess Ryuk was impressed by that. That's the level of his narcissistic and grandiose traits in Lights. He's trying to influence the very god of death himself as a mere human. That's very audacious of him, but also extremely grandiose. And I want to quickly talk about the factor 1 of hair psychopathy checklist, definition right here. It's a checklist that forensic psychotherapists and psychologists use in identifying the traits and criteria of psychopath because they're extremely hard to catch. Most of the well-known psychopaths and serial killers that were caught by the police, many of them came forward and were caught voluntarily speaking for infamy because lie detection doesn't work for them because their heart rate do not fluctuate based on their lies. They can perfectly mimic pro-social human behaviors, right? But here are some of the traits based on the factor 1, the hair psychopathy checklist that Light is also exhibiting. 1, superficial charm. He's very charming, and I'm sure we'll see that more. Him helping out his sister, he's checking in seemingly in this heartwarming with his father. Oh, how's your work going? You seem so tired in episode 3 and so on. He has a perfect pro-social mask. That's why no one in his close circle and in his life can even make the slightest connection that could our son, my brother, be the Kira. So he's very superficially charming. And I say superficial because it's not real. Second, he's very cunning, right? Obviously, as a case in point, what I just explained. And he's even cunning and confident and very, I guess, overly confident, not just in a manipulative way in the sense of conning, but he's also trying to manipulate and influence your Yoke, god of death, as I just explained momentarily ago. And the last thing is callousness, right here. He's very callous. He disregards the human lives of who he deems as amoral and irredeemable. That's why he's killed hundreds of people so far. So that's why starting from this point on, I will be viewing Light or Kira through the prism of a psychopath and no longer as a sociopath, because his antisocial behaviors have officially passed the threshold of sociopathy. It's a tongue twister into psychopathy.
そうか。わかった。
どうした？何が
What did he get? He's so studious even with his death note.
デスノートの使い方を利用するんだ。死因を書く
To his advantage.
詳しい死の状況を記載する時間が与えられる。この死の詳しい状況がどの範囲まで自由にできるのか
Interesting.
試させてもらう。
That quick dialogue reveals Light's yet another psychopathic man, tongue twister's traits. We call that experimental psychopathy, definition right here. He's no longer just abiding by the rules of Death Note. He's actually weaponizing it. He's transitioned to reacting, using Death Note to now preemptively manipulating and weaponizing Death Note to his advantage based on the rules. So he's experimenting with his A, psychopathy, and B, the weapon of this power that we call Death Notes. So he's becoming more and more psychopathic-like, as I talked about just momentarily ago. But it also highlights his high intelligence and brilliance in a very twisted way. We'll see how the cat and mouse dynamic continues with L, since he hasn't surfaced or appeared in the episode yet. Hmm? What does that mean?
ただの心臓麻痺じゃないのか？いえ、死因は心臓麻痺なんですが、一人は死の直前、刑務所の壁に自分の指を切った血で奇妙な絵を描いています。
Whoa, satanic circle.
とも言えない文章を残しています。3人目に至っては脱走してわざわざ職員用のトイレの中で。
どうした渡り？
先ほど今までと少し違う心臓麻痺の被害者が出ました。
Dude, L must be so stressed out right now, even with his OCPD traits.
頼む。キラーに怯えた文章。
Does he never turn the light on in his
ただ
room?
単に犯罪者が取った行動とも取れるが。
I feel bad for his back. Use a chair and a desk, dude. Look at that horrible posture.
操れ
Man.
るとしたら。
But that's the obsessive compulsory personality disorder, OCPD traits that I talked about in last episode. He's hyper obsessive and hyper focused.
以上のことは発
At the even at the perils of his own health.
表で何かのテストをしている可能性があります。
Dude, L's so good. Oh my gosh.
答えを教えてやることになりますので。
L can gauge immediately what Light is trying to do. Experimental psychopathy. Yep. Experimenting with people's lives.
キラが犯罪者の
Dude,
実験をしている
I
と
also
したら
feel bad for his neck, dude.
何
I would hate to be L's body. Oh. Quick highlights. L is, of course, as we know, they're on par intellectually. And this is a cat and mouse dynamic that I just alluded to. But here's the interesting part. L does not simply react to Light's manipulation and tactics. In this case, psychopathic experiments, as I just talked about. He's also preemptively planning and predicting and counteracting against the tactics and the moves of Light. And this is the reason why it's a cat and mouse dynamic. And this is the reason why it's an equal level chess match, intellectually so. So they're not always acting and reacting. They're not always making a move and response. They're also in both per their different worldview, right? They're also preemptively planning the next move, trying to predict the move of the opponents. So in a chess analogies, they're playing 2, 3, 4 moves ahead. So my question is right now, who do you think is ahead? Who has planned further along and who is winning on the chessboard right now, metaphorically speaking? Do you think it's L or Light / Kira? Curious to hear your thoughts. I think they're on par right now. Dude, what? So it's not just the cause of death. They can even manipulate their bodies and do exactly what he says and writes in the death note.
フェル島の前で死ぬ。日本の刑務所にいた人間が
Oh, dude, he is narrowing down the conditions and limitations of death notes.
知らない人間の顔。
Wow.
なるほど。
そして最後の一人には、俺はエルが日本警察を疑っていることを知ってい
This is crazy.
るように指示した。これ
Wow.
はもしかしたらいける。
He's extrapolating beyond the simple rules of death
本
notes.
人の知らない情報や
He's literally optimizing the usage
その
of death
人間
note.
が書くに
That's
は不自然すぎ
nuts.
ること
Wow.
を書けないってこと。いくらデスノートでもあり
What
えないこと
a
はできない。
calculated manipulator Light has
その人
become,
間が
huh?
やってもおかしくない範囲
Quite a psychological transition.
いくらでも
in a
動か
few
してから
episodes.
死なせる。
それは分かったが、何が狙いなんだ、ライト。
Dude, not just their cause of death, he can truly control them.
名探偵は当分犯罪者の残した絵や文章の謎解き夢中でいるに違いない。全く意味のないダイイングメッセージのだ。
Let's see what L thinks.
何らかのテストをした
Yep.
とする。
Okay, so see, I think they're evenly matched.
今
He's not fixated on the symbols. He just knows that that was an experiment by Kira.
もしテスト以外の目的があったとしたらこの文章は何かのメッセージ。
Oh no, L!
じゃあいよいよ本番だ。
本番？
昨日ニュースにな
Wait,
っていた
Light just said it,
銀
the
行を
message
襲
was
った
meaningless,
金を
right?
奪えず
Is L overthinking right now?
常習犯こいつを使う。当日だけどなんとかなるだろう。何人か当たってみよう。
何人か当たる？
ああ
Like going on a date,
こう見えても
except to
僕は
kill?
結構モテるんだ。
It's like blind dates, but you don't get a date afterwards, you just die.
もしもし、え、ライト？
Oh, his classmates. Yo, Light's about to set up a speed dating show, except it's for manipulation and killing. Man. If you guys are enjoying my Death Note series so far and the unique forensic psychological insights, smash that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to not miss out on my next video. Alright, let's continue.
尾行はついているな。それでいい。
The FBI
尾行
agents.
がいないと これからやることの意味がなくなってしまう。
If my shadow wasn't there. Interesting.
デートか。
ああ、
Yo, I called it.
キリデートさ。僕を尾行しているやつから見てもね。
What I say, he's superficially charming and very cunning.
尾行者の
Hair
名前を
one,
知る方法が分かったと
psychopathy
言っ
checklist.
てたが。
Light, the psychopath.
僕がデスノートに何を書いたか見ていなかっ
なあ、それ見ちゃうとつまらないからな。
た。だったらどうなる？
Everything that Yoke does is to decrease his boredom.
それよりスペースランドなんて中学の時以来楽しみ。しかも今日はライトと
Whoa,
二人きりだし
skinship since the get-go?
うん。
Did they have a history in the past?
平日は外出といったら学校と予備校に行くくらい、たまの休みにデートか。真面目な受験生だ。八神局長の息子ライト。
Chief. Okay, his dad is not just a head detective, he's a chief, police chief.
とりあえず今日一日の行動を見て終わりだ。
I just had a light bulb. Shout out to my caffeine. I think the FBI trailing in this episode symbolizes another theme of like the big brother watching, the shadow that Light talked about in passing. We'll see if the shadow no longer follows me, right? He said that in passing. And this reminds me of one of my favorite books by George Orwell, 1984. It's the concept of surveillance, Big Brother is watching in America, and the increasing usage of the Patriot Act, definition right here. So a lot of people have paranoia that they're being watched, the metadata, right? Amazon, Instagram, anything we say. Who here have that experience? We said something, we talked about a product, a brand. Oh, I don't know, burgers, clothes, pants. And immediately, few minutes afterwards, you open your Instagram and you see catered IG or Instagram ads about pants and the very things you just talked about with someone else. Amazon does this, Instagram does this, Facebook does this. We call that metadata. And here's the crazy part that a lot of people don't know. Metadata, because of the user agreements that we sign, that's like hundreds of pages. And nobody, maybe like 17 people actually read the fine combing of user agreements. But most of us, we just scroll, click, and sign, right? Whatever app we're using. Because of those agreements, metadata, definition right here, is actually legally sold to these third-party vendors. And they can actually use these metadata for their marketing sake. And metadata industry is actually trillions of dollars large. For example, if you're using your dating app, Tinder, Hinge, Coffee Meets Bagels, FarmersMeet.com, I made the last one up, whatever platform it is for dating, the vendors can actually purchase your metadata of zip code of where you live and the areas you go based on the premise and the radius of the apps. And they can actually purchase that metadata of your zip code, which is feels like a gross violation of your privacy, but they can purchase that legally because of the user agreements for like $300. You can literally purchase zip code for like $200-$300. Now, what do? Using that metadata, they bombard you with ads. All their catered tactics for capitalism. And I think that's what FBI trailing and the shadow that Light talked about, even though he's the ultimate archetypical shadow based on Carl Jung's work in this show. We're always being watched. But my question is, who is watching the watcher? Who is watching the big brother? But this is the reason why people are getting more and more paranoid in the modern sense. And there's a lot of validity in their paranoia, right? But I think I might be overthinking because of my super caffeinated brain. But I think that's like an undertone of this theme of being watched. Like the shadow, the government, the big brother.
でもライト、受験終わるまでは遊ばないとか言ってなかった？
Damn, FBI agents literally sitting right behind them.
感じ悪。
Dude, Light's literally faking all that charming because obviously he doesn't care about this girl. This is all a like psychological crucible, psychological tactic against the FBI agent. Superficial charming, it's all fake. I love how calming the music is, even though he's doing like the most psychopathic behavior of manipulation. Oh, he's killing. Oh.
やつだ。
Wait, how did he know where he was gonna be on?
7人、これなら全てうまくいく。
What the fuck?
このバスは俺が乗っ取った。
Oh, he already predicted this and wrote this?
騒ぐんじゃねえ。
Wait, how did Light predict this? What? Bro, did he write this on his death notes? Exactly dictating and controlling what this criminal will do, hijacking a bus at this exact time with a gun, anticipating the FBI agents would trail him and to get on the bus together. So all of this is orchestrated by Lights using death notes? Dude, what the heck? How powerful is Notebook, dude? This is like, I mean, I knew this in theory because obviously Lights already deduced this, and even Yoka is like, oh, figure it out. So what are you going to do about it? He's like the puppet master. Dude, Light Yagami is like a semi freaking Shigami at this point. I cannot believe he orchestrated all of this. Dude, full body goosebumps. Wow. And of course he's gonna die, and this is gonna make the FBI is like, oh yeah, Light Yagami's innocent. There's no way I was watching him. He's not the killer, right? Dude, I still have goosebumps right now. This is crazy. Dude, this is so OP. How is L going to counteract this? I take what I said earlier. I think now Lights is on top.
ゆりちゃん、安心して。犯人の隙を見て僕がピストルを持った手を押さえる。
危険だ。やめろ。その時は私がやる。
Oh.
大丈夫だ。筆談などしなくても。小声なら走行音で。
Oh my gosh. Oh, dude. Lights succeeded.
あの犯人と共犯者でないという。
Dude, FBI already checked Lights off his suspects
よくある
checklist.
ケースだよ。犯人は一人と思わせておいて、あらかじめ後方からの見張りを置いておく。どうしました？
やだ、まさか本当に？
仕方がない。
Oh, he's gonna reveal that he's FBI. Oh my gosh, Lights, you fuck. Oh.
これが勝負だ。見てくれ。
Oh, dude, goosebumps. Oh my gosh.
そうか。L は FBI を使って。
Oh, he thought it was just like a cop trailing them. Didn't know it was FBI. Wow.
レイ・ペンバー。
Oh, fuck me, dude. Lights figure out his face and his name. Oh, Rainer's gonna die.
FBI の捜査官がここに乗り合わせたのかは聞きません。
Oh, poor FBI agents. You came all the way from the United States just to get killed.
お任せしていいですね。
RIP, bro. RIP, Ray.
あの男、2日前に日本でニュースになっていた男だ。銀行を襲い、一般人3人を殺して逃げた麻薬常習犯。
Damn.
極めて危険だ。
大丈夫。
Armed and very
奴の
dangerous.
銃は絶対に僕たちを撃たない。
He even orchestrated that?
おい、お前動くな。なんだその髪は。てめえ。
彼が隙を見て奴に飛びかかろうとしていたことが。
This is all part of the ploy?
デートの約束かよ。くだらねえ。
やった。
That's a page from the death notes. I just saw Yoke, Shigami.
なんだてめえは。そこの一番後ろのやつ。
The page he dropped was from the notebook. Oh my.
いつからそこにいた。
Oh my gosh, this show is too much.
俺のことか。
Oh, RIP, bro. You're about to die.
お二人。うつだバケモノ。
まずい、幻覚を見ている。みんな伏せろ。
あ、そうか。さっきライトの落としたデートの約束メモ。
Dude.
ノートを切って書いたものだったわけか。
Dude, fucking nuts.
メモを触らせてこいつにだけ俺の姿を見せ
Dude.
る。
Oh my goodness. Dude, that is so smart. Oh, oh yeah. I mean,
悪いな。俺は死神だからそんなものじゃ死なないんだ。
out of ammo.
デスノートに触ったものには俺の姿が見える。俺はライトの後をついていなければならない。死神は銃で撃たれても死なない。みんな俺がライトに行ったことだ。
Dude, Yoke is so casual.
全国共通模試1位、応用力がある。
Oh my
そしてこ
gosh.
のバスジャックを利用して尾行してたやつの名前も難なくゲットか。
Oh, oh shit. Oh. And hit by a car? Bro, That was a pretty obvious setup, and I bet the time was exactly 11:37, right by the park that Lights wrote down in the ripped page of Death Notes.
ジャスト11時40
11:45. Okay.
すべて予定通り
Wow.
恐れた喜一郎事故死公園東口バス停より午前11
Dude,
時
this is
30
nuts.
スペースランド行きのバスに
Absolutely bonkers, dude.
この世のものとは思えぬ幻影を見てそれに向かって前段を発砲しバスから逃走
And hit by a car.
その直後同日11時45分事故に遭い死亡
Wow.
デスノートに狂いなし次はあなたの番だレイペン
Dude, poor Ray. I just need a couple seconds gathering my thoughts based on that absolute bonkers of the last whatever 5-10 minutes of episode 4. Let's summarize what just happened. Light, this master manipulator of a psychopath, orchestrated the entire sequence of this criminal getting on the bus at a specific time after asking out his friends as a distraction on this fake date to lure the FBI agent who trails him onto the bus as a last action to hopefully reveal the FBI agent's name and identity, which he succeeded seamlessly and effortlessly. Ray, right? Second thing, he was able to get himself off the suspect list by the FBI agent. Obviously, he was trailing Light the whole time. He wasn't using death notes or anything. FBI mistakenly believes that he has observed and watched Light Yagami the entire time, which he did. Because little did he know, Light already pre-planned, preemptively orchestrated the entire sequence even before leaving on this date. And of course, the criminal got on the bus, hijacked with a gun, and the whole thing that happens, right? Not to beat the dead horse, since we all just watched what happened. But this deepens what I just said earlier. His manipulation, his cunningness, and his callous nature of not just killing the criminal, because he's been doing this for God knows how long, but he's also willing to traumatize the innocent passengers of the entire bus. Because when you see a person getting hit by a car and dying in front of you, not to mention this guy had a gun and pointed his gun and hijacked this bus. So the 7 passengers on this bus are 100% traumatized. I feel bad for the senior citizens and Light's fake girlfriends, right? So he's willing to traumatize and putting the innocent people's lives at stake. Sure, in the notebook, Light said that, oh, he's not going to point the gun at this direction because that's what he orchestrated. I believe that. But when the criminal was shooting the gun and ammunition at the ceiling of the bus and towards the back glass window, when a bullet hits a surface, especially like metallic hard surfaces, it ricochets. And that ricochet could actually kill people. So maybe Light's life was not at stake based on the orchestration, but he did not consider the innocent lives of other people. There 100% could have been casualties. He didn't care because his agenda is to, one, obtain the identity and name of the FBI agents so he can kill him, obviously, eliminate all threat, very psychopathic of Light. And second, to get himself off the suspect list, which he also succeeded. And 3, probably going to experiment, but also finalize the rules and the hypothesis he had based on the rules he deduced and extrapolated like in the middle of the show. So those 3 were his agendas. He didn't care about anything else. And we see how the episode concluded. The criminal does die by an accident at exactly 12:45. And FBI agent Ray no longer suspects Light. And now Ray will probably be killed in episode 5. Wow, dude, I have not been this shocked and surprised in an anime for a long time. Damn, absolutely nuts. So with that being said, that this is it for my analysis for this week's video. If you enjoy my analysis, as always, please smash that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed because you don't want to miss the next episode. And as always, I hope to see you and catch you in the next week's video of Death Note and Free Run. And as always, peace. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you.